Hawaii is beautiful. Its sunny beaches and blue waters have made it an attractive vacation destination. But many will tell you it's the Hawaiian culture that makes visiting so special. It's fitting then that Hawaiian Airlines mirrors this charm. The carrier is known for its signature hospitality, and it's earned them immense respect. Now, when you've built this kind of winning recipe, there's no harm in just sticking with it. But Hawaiian isn't resting on its laurels. It's undergoing a major transformation. After years of building around Airbus, the airline's now adding a new Boeing to its fleet, the 787. Now, ditching Airbus and buying Boeing comes with plenty of risk. So why did they do it? Why did Hawaiian buy the 787 Dreamliner? Let me explain. Now, as many of you probably know, I've been traveling a lot for the channel. Not only did I just visit Hawaii, but in 2024, I've also been to places like Singapore and Germany. But the one place I've been to most is France, which is a problem because I don't speak a lick of French. And that's why I started using Babbel, the world's top language learning app. Babbel's courses are designed by over 650 language experts, and it's not just about learning the basics. Babbel helps me prepare for real-life situations. For instance, I've found phrases like "amène moi à l'aéroport" and "où sont les toilettes" to be especially helpful on my travels. Babbel is scientifically proven to help you start speaking a language in just 3 weeks. And they're so confident that you will, that they offer a 20-day money-back guarantee. And since they know that most of my viewers also love to travel, they're offering a special deal. If you visit my link in the description, you'll get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription. Thanks to Babbel for sponsoring today's video, and now, let's get back to it. Let's set the stage by talking about Hawaiian's historical fleet. The airline's flown all sorts of planes over the years, including those built by Douglas, Lockheed, Boeing, and ATR. But in the last decade or so, they've coalesced around Airbus. In fact, until recently, its Trans-Pacific fleet was Airbus exclusive, comprised of the A330-200 and the A321neo. Now, this approach makes a lot of sense. Staying loyal to one OEM can help streamline operations, especially when it comes to pilot and crew training. And there's no doubt that Hawaiian's seen benefits from their all-Airbus setup.
From a pilot training perspective, particularly as you look at moving people from a 321 to a 330 or vice versa, it certainly drives productivity, less time in the schoolhouse, more time flying is a really good thing for us.
So naturally, when Hawaiian decided to modernize its fleet, they decided to stick with Airbus. In 2008, they bought the A350-800. This jet was supposed to be the smallest member of the A350 family, seating around 250 people, but demand for the type was scant and Airbus eventually scrapped it. This forced Hawaiian back to the drawing board, but luckily for them, Airbus rolled out the A330neo around the same time. The Neo brings the A330 family into the 21st century, giving it new engines and wings, and it was arguably an even better fit for the carrier. It was both cheaper and a direct successor to the legacy A330s it already owned. So it came as no surprise when Hawaiian bought the A330-800, the smaller of the two Neo variants. But as time went on, Hawaiian started to second-guess its decision. Like the A350-800 before it, few airlines were interested in the jet. Hawaiian became concerned about its commercial viability, eventually scrapping its order and starting its search anew. Now, I want to ask you something. First off, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, but I also want you to imagine that you're a Hawaiian executive. Knowing what we know so far, what would your next move be? What plane would you look to buy? Well, personally, I think it'd be wise to look at the A330-900. Sure, Hawaiian had already struck out twice with Airbus, but this final jet might just be the best fit of all. It is the biggest member of the Neo family, and it has both more customers and better economics than its smaller sibling. And as it turns out, Hawaiian did seriously consider buying the plane.
The 330-900 is a good airplane, and you look at the economics of the airplane, there are the commonalities that it had. And frankly, when we went through and did our bake-off of the two, it got credit for those efficiencies.
But in a surprise move, Hawaiian went with the competition. They placed an order for the rival 787, a decision that they've stuck to this day. So, why the switch? Well, first and foremost, Hawaiian probably got these planes for cheap. People with direct knowledge of Boeing and Airbus sales efforts have shared with me that, in the last few years, Boeing's gotten really aggressive on wide-body pricing, and the airline was almost certainly a benefactor. But of course, this isn't verifiable. Neither Boeing nor Hawaiian will comment publicly on order specifics. So let's pretend that Hawaiian just didn't get a deal. Let's pretend they paid full price. Even if they did so, there are other compelling reasons for them to buy the Dreamliner. First off, the 787 is a better fit for its network expansion. There was a time when Hawaiian only used wide bodies to fly across the Pacific. This was out of necessity. Single-aisle jets just didn't have the range to cross oceans. But that's no longer the case. Hawaiian's fleet of A321neos can reach many smaller markets on the US mainland, and they can do so more profitably than wide bodies.
The 321 has been a fantastic airplane for us to grow into secondary markets. There's a handful of markets like Sacramento, Honolulu, and Portland, Honolulu, where it can handle the wide body, but times of year in particular, the 321 is a little better suited.
The arrival of the A321 has allowed Hawaiian to rethink its wide-body strategy. Now, they can deploy its biggest planes more effectively, explicitly targeting both high-density flights and long-haul flights. And on both mission types, the 787 has a clear advantage. First, let's focus on density. On paper, the A330-900 and 787-9 seem interchangeable, since they're about the same length. But the 787 has a wider fuselage, meaning it can fit 9 abreast in economy, opposed to the 8 abreast on the A330. And this is a huge selling point for Hawaiian.
When we were evaluating kind of the 78 versus the 330-900, in all candor, we looked at the 330-900 as an 8 abreast airplane and as a 9 abreast airplane. There are people who are operating the 330s now with 9 abreast, and so we looked at that, and in order to get that 9 abreast, it wasn't consistent with the customer experience that we provide to our guests today. 787, it lets you just kind of catch up with the natural market growth as well.
The key point there is market growth. You see, flights between Hawaii and West Coast cities like LA and San Francisco see a ton of traffic. And with demand for air travel always growing, the 787's extra room gives Hawaiian the flexibility to add more seats and generate more revenue without compromising comfort. Okay, now let's turn our attention to long-haul flights. The A330neo is a super efficient machine. Some estimates even suggest that it's more efficient than the Dreamliner on short to medium haul flights. But insiders have shared that on longer duration missions, the 787 can be anywhere from 2 to 4% more efficient. This is key for Hawaiian. Today, they fly America's longest domestic flight, connecting Honolulu to Boston. They also fly to other distant destinations like New York and Seoul. All of these missions can benefit from the 787's efficiency. And the plane also gives Hawaiian the option to expand into new faraway markets like London, Beijing, and Singapore. Okay, so we've established that the 787 is really good for Hawaiian's expansion. But on top of that, the 787 helps Hawaiian to future-proof its fleet. So far, we've discussed its trans-Pacific fleet, the A330-200 and the A321neo. But there's actually a third plane in Hawaiian's fleet. That would be the 717, which is reserved for inter-island hops.
The 717 is fantastic. It is the best airplane we could ever get for neighbor islands.
But as good as the 717 has been, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
There's only a handful of operators out there now, and so as it ages, we have to just do a little extra work, and we have to understand, and so we understand some of the challenges of having a smaller worldwide fleet.
Sure. One of these challenges is resale value. Simply put, if Hawaiian ever puts these planes up for sale, it'll be hard to find a customer. And this proved to be a major point of consideration when the airline was deciding between the Neo and the Dreamliner.
We're buying an airplane not just for 2021, but for 2041. And we wanted to make sure that the airplane we were buying had a kind of a useful life and was going to be a liquid market.
Now look, the A330 family has been a huge success, but it does seem that the jet is past its prime. At some point in the 2030s, Airbus is almost certain to replace it with a clean sheet design. And when that happens, the Neo could start facing many of the same resale challenges as the 717. But the Dreamliner, with its gargantuan order book, is unlikely to have such problems. Then there's the matter of passenger comfort. The Dreamliner is just a little more future-proofed in this category too. Nobody likes arriving at their vacation feeling jet-lagged and tired, and the 787 has some really lovely features that help in this regard. Compared to the A330, the 787 has lower cabin altitude and higher cabin humidity. It also has much bigger windows that let in a ton of natural light. These are standard features on the 787, but in typical Hawaiian fashion, they've gone the extra mile to make their aircraft special. Upon entering, you're greeted by stunning ceiling lights and gorgeous wood paneling, setting the tone for a warm and welcoming flight. Now, Hawaiian has historically made most of its money from leisure travelers, but if you turn left into the business cabin, you'll find they haven't neglected their premium flyers. Quite the opposite, actually. Its new Leihoku suites are beautifully adorned, incredibly spacious, and exceedingly private, and the Starry Lights application on the ceiling is so cool. If you instead turn right into economy, you'll find a breathtaking coral blue cabin, reminiscent of Hawaii's beaches. These seats have super high definition screens and ample legroom. Oh, and did you know that Hawaiian still offers a free hot snack on domestic flights? I'm pretty sure they're the last US carrier to do so. Long story short, the 787 helps Hawaiian elevate the onboard experience, and this will allow them to stay competitive in a very crowded market. At the end of the day, Hawaiian's decision to buy the 787 shows just how complex the aircraft buying process can be. When you're trying to upgrade your aircraft, there's never an obvious decision. On the surface, the A330-900 seems like a perfectly logical addition to the fleet. But at the end of the day, the Dreamliner's unique strengths helped it to win Hawaiian's business. So what do you guys think? Did Hawaiian make the right decision buying the 787, or should they have stuck with Airbus? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And while you're down there, let me know what language you're most interested in learning with Babbel. Shout out again to Babbel for sponsoring the video and for offering my viewers a generous 60% discount. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping to make this video possible. If you like what I do and want to help the channel grow, go ahead and check out this link right here. And as always, if you learned something new today, leave a like and subscribe to keep learning. And until I see you again, don't forget to look up.